Because there are a few other things in public policy that, that's part of your notes only. I'll mail those things to you. It's basically descriptive things only, value addition only. I'll mail those things to you. Today we'll finish this accountability and control. Tomorrow we'll do administrative law. Then comes personnel administration, techniques of administrative improvement, financial administration. So in 5 more classes we'll complete this. Okay. 5 other units remaining, 5 more classes will complete this. So the concept of, first we'll understand the concept of accountability and control. Basically, what is accountability, what exactly is control, what is the difference between them. Then we'll understand how that accountability should be enforced. Then we'll see how, what do you say, how accountability actually looks like in India, how different forms of accountability are. So the concept of accountability lies at the heart of democratic governance. It refers to obligation of public officials to answer for their actions, decisions, and use of public resources. Basically, whatever the public officials are doing, they're answerable for those things. Okay, so that is accountability. Answerable for each and every step. Why did they do this? Why did they spend this money? Okay, why did they not do this? Why did they not spend this money? Everything is accounted for. That is accountability. So if you are given some amount of authority to carry out certain actions, you have to be fully accountable for each and everything. Okay. So use of public authority. In administration, control refers to various mechanisms, institutional, legal, procedural, used to ensure accountability. For example, if there is a institutional system that, okay, you'll have to, every day you come, you have to fill in your attendance. Whatever you do, you have to update it in a timesheet, a centralized timesheet. Whatever you spend, you have to do that. So that mechanism, that is a form of control. Yes. So accountability is a philosophical idea, is an idea that somebody is held accountable for something. Control is the methods used to make that person accountable. Okay. So control is the process, outcome is accountability. Understood? Dwight Waldo emphasized that public administration must be a responsible administration. How does public administration become a responsible administration? By this particular accountability being enforced. Yes. Okay. Relationship control is a mechanism to enforce accountability, while accountability is the obligation to answer. Control is the power to command and correct something. Okay. So if a senior is sitting and senior is saying, or else when you were kids, your parents must be making you sit and study in chair, that from 7:30 to 8:30 you will study this. That mechanism is a mechanism of control. And whatever you study, you are answerable for your studies. That is accountability. Understood? Now, Here there is a debate called Frederick Feiner debate. The question is, there are two questions that are being asked. If there is an organization, in this organization, should control be from outside or inside? Who controls? So, inside this organization, there is a hierarchical relation, for example. Now, control can be from inside, but can also be from outside political authority, judicial authority, etc. etc. So, if this is an administrative organization, control can be from inside also. Senior is controlling the junior. Similarly, senior is controlling the senior and junior. Yes, that is inner, inside the organization. If control is coming from outside, that is from outside. The question began that which form of accountability is the best? If accountability, which form of control is the best? Okay. Accountability is a process. I mean, you have to hold somebody accountable. But how do we control them? From outside or inside? For example, in your family, if your behavior is not good, the police can step in or your parents can step in. So if you have done something wrong, especially in schools, if you have done something wrong, the principals or teachers used to sit in the parents teacher meeting and say, okay, this child is going wrong here. So there are two options. The parents have to take care of the child, change his behavior, improve his behavior, or else the school will take more stricter actions in school. Okay, suspension might be there, etc., etc. Things like that. That means which form of control is better, from parents or from school, from inside or outside? That is the question. Okay, because there are benefits and limitations also. If parents, if the student is making some casteist remark in school, so imagine the parents are also casteist. That form of internal control will be a problem. If you say casteist parents, that your child is saying casteist slurs in class. Now, that parent might not be able to deal with the child. That's why you need external control in certain situations. Similarly, if there is some matter which is very personal to the child, so in that form, parents are a better option. Yes, can you understand? There is no one answer to it. Two are important in certain scenarios. So there is a debate regarding this called Frederick Feiner debate. Whenever you see accountability and control being asked, any question, bring in at least a line of Frederick Feiner debate. Okay. Hermann Feiner, he propounded external control. The control should be from outside. The outside organization should control that. Okay. Feiner argued that administrators cannot be trusted to regulate themselves. He championed strong external control mechanisms such as legislative oversight or detailed legal regulations. He's saying these administrators all are the same. If somebody is doing corruption, everybody is involved. So if inside the organization you let them control it, there won't be any effect of it. That's why you need outside control. This is what Feiner is saying. He believed that without the threat of sanctions from external bodies, administrators might abuse their discretion. His famous quote sums it up: I suggest that reliance on an official's conscience may be reliance on an official's accomplice. Basically, if you let another official decide for the official within the organization, chances are that official might also be doing corruption. Accomplice, they are part of the same corruption mechanism. So that is why internal control, Hermann Feiner was very much against, and he says from outside, control should be within the bureaucracy. Any organization that we are talking about is a bureaucratic organization. That is what is our point of study. So, according to Feiner, external control over administration, what all Indian examples do we have? Of course, understanding this theory is important of Hermann Feiner, but our answer requires these Indian examples. Okay? I have given quite a few. You can write one or two in your answers when given. Depends on what question is asking. Such as the Controller and Auditor General. So, CAG, after every year's finances has been done, has been spent, the CAG sees how these spendings have been. Yes, there is something called right to information. Citizens are a form of control, external control, not bureaucratic organization. Similarly, Vigilance Commission is there. Parliamentary committees are there that sit and determine what policies are to be implemented. And then things like judicial review are there. Yes, that judiciary sees whether parliament is working fine or not. Yes. Next point is Karl Frederick is saying internal control is more effective and important. This is the debate, internal control. Frederick countered external control as insufficient because rules cannot cover every possible situation. They say rules, regulation outside people cannot cover every possible situation. For example, in a home, parents are there most of the times. One of the parent is there. So schools cannot cover all the things that the child is doing. That is why parents' contribution and cooperation is also important. So that is why Frederick is saying that internal view is very much important. Internal control. Why? Because rules and regulations are from outside. Internally, if the organization is very much motivated to go ahead and improve public service delivery, it is much more better. Okay. He emphasized the importance of internalized control, such as administrators' professional ethics. If somebody is ethical in nature, that means that person does not require outside rules and regulations. Yes? So internal ethics are very much important. Moral values, responsiveness to public opinion. He argued that true accountability comes from the sense of duty. If somebody is duty driven, they do not need judiciary or the legislative to say what to do. Okay, that is why that form of control, internal control, is very much important. It acts like an inner check. So examples are code of conduct for civil servants. Okay, also there are code of conduct is that how public servants should conduct themselves officially, unofficially in public spaces. Those are important. Similarly, there are professional training programs that happen, foundational course that happens in Lavasa. Similarly, oath of office, that you take an oath that you will serve the citizens of the country. Similarly, there are departmental ethics committee. There is something called Whistleblower Protection Act. Why is this important? That internally, if somebody is seeing that corruption is happening, work is not going very well, internally, the individual can do whistleblowing. You know the meaning of whistleblowing? Whistleblowing means that, for example, this is an organization, okay? We are involved in some form of corruption. You see, you do not agree with that. You see, this is a problem. So, you whistleblowing means you make it public that we are involved in corruption, even though you are part of the same office, but you are not involved in this. You call out. So, for example, you might have seen there would be watchman or police officer who blow a whistle at night. So, whenever they see something wrong happening, you blow the whistle. That means this is something wrong happening, and people should step in. So, Whistleblower Protection Act means what? For example, if we want to get back to you, hurt you, harm you, Whistleblower Protection Act says whoever is whistleblowing, their identity won't come out. That is why it is secretive in nature. Okay? Whistleblower Protection Act. Modern governance recognizes both are essential. A robust system requires a blend of Finer's external checks and Frederick's internal checks. That means both are very much required in the present day. Frederick Mosher is saying advocated for administrative responsibility, highlighting the need for civil servants to not just follow orders but also to exercise discretion, responsibly and ethically. Basically, they're saying whenever discretionary power of the administrator is being used, it should be used ethically. Okay, and administration should be responsible originally for that. There should not be always somebody at the head seeing that whether you are studying or not, or whether you are working or not. So internal sense of responsibility should be there. So, what is the formal mechanisms of control? Woodrow Wilson says administration lies outside the proper sphere of politics, yet it is accountable to it. So Wilson is saying about dichotomy, right? That these are different. But yet he's saying even though administration lies outside politics, still it is accountable to politics. Why? Because representative democracy is there. So legislative control, parliamentary oversight, responsible government. So legislative control means what? Parliamentary control. In India, parliamentary control. So parliament is the representative of people, exercises primary oversight that is there. The administration implements laws passed by the legislature and spends money sanctioned by it. For example, any law that the parliament is making, that law is being what? That law is being implemented by the administration, the executive, permanent executive, and the legislature keeps a check on it, that whether that work is going on or not. What happened in the last 3 months or between the time of the session, whether the work has been carried out fine or not. So that is what legislature checks. This control ensures that the administration remains answerable to the people's elected representatives. Okay. Now you can add certain constitutional articles while writing answers as value addition. So legislative responsibility is seen in what form? 75.3, it says that Council of Ministers are responsible, collectively responsible to the Parliament. 112. This is what? Budget. That Parliament has the power to control, or Parliament has the power to financially control the the executive. So Parliament passes any kind of money that goes out. Article 265. No tax shall be levied or collected except by authority of law. So any kind of money that is coming in, any kind of revenue that is being generated, it has to be generated by the approval of the parliament or the legislature. Similarly, any money that comes out of the consolidated fund of India, it comes out by parliamentary approval. Nothing, no other mechanism is there. So this shows legislative control is very much high. So what form of control do they exercise? Financial control through budgets, cuts, etc., etc. Similarly, through parliamentary committees, there is Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee, Committee for Parliamentary Undertaking, Departmental Related Standing Committee. So what do they do? Public Accounts Committee. So 2G scam that happened. So these parliamentary committees, they found out how this scam happened, and then it it was publicized, and then perpetrators were caught. Similarly, estimates committee, that how it suggests how efficiently something can be implemented. Okay? Estimates committee, committee on public undertaking, that whether the PSUs that are there, government companies that are there, whether they are working well or not. So parliamentary committees see these things. And department related standing committee. So for to see whether this particular department or this particular ministry has been given this much amount of money, how are they working? So they continuously keep a check. Okay? That's why standing committees. That means there are permanent committees that are there. Plus, Parliament exercises some deliberative and procedural control. Question hour is there. 0 hour is there. Similarly, certain motions are taken up. Adjournment motion, censor motion. So these are taken up. This shows what? This shows Parliament seriously takes care of these business. Yes. Similarly, when it comes to trust in the government, no confidence motion can be taken up. That we have zero confidence in the Council of Ministers that are ruling right now. Now, this is an important part. Delegated legislation. delegated legislation, what does delegated legislation mean? Hmm? That is delegation of power. What is delegated legislation? So, delegated legislation is, see, Parliament makes a skeletal law. Just create the skeleton of the law. Every detail is filled in, the rest of the details are filled in by the executive. So, the Parliament delegates certain legislative competence and legislative power to the executive. That is delegated legislation. So, Parliament, if they have delegated something, they have to have control over it because it is the power of the Parliament. The legislature delegates some lawmaking power to the executive but retains the power to scrutinize and repeal the rules. For example, Committee of Subordinate Legislation. It sees that any kind of power that has been given, delegated legislation has been given, whether that legislation or what do you say, whether the executive is acting properly on that legislative competence or not, whether those lawmaking power has been misused or not, that is also checked. Yes. See, example, if executive makes rules under an existing law, for example, Environment Protection Act, executive are making a rule because that is delegated legislation. So every day, some new rules and new laws are made by the executive through circulars, orders, notices. Every time it does not go to the parliament, but everything has to be in lines of the law that the parliament has made. Yes, Parliament's Committee on Subordinate Legislation can review these daily circulars, orders, etc., to ensure they align with the Parent Act and are not arbitrary in nature. Are you able to understand? So they are drawing that power from that main act, but this new order, new notification, new rules, they might not be in the original act, but they are in line with the motive of the original act. Yes. Now, there are certain limitations when it comes to legislative control over administration. First is time and technical expertise. Example, certain new policies, for example, data protection policies, data protection, or to regulate big tech. Similarly, an example I have given is defense budget. Now, these are very technical in nature. These are very technical in nature and they require a lot of experts, and it's about policies that those experts decide. Parliamentarians are not always aware of these things. How many parliamentarians would be aware that how to improve digital data protection? Very less. Very less parliamentarians would have that background, educational background, to understand the technicality of laws, of how digital spaces operate, how technology is changing these spaces. So that means parliamentarians have a very uh, limited scope and time to understand these things. They meet for very less days. They do not meet every day and do not go to office every day, do not go to the parliament to make laws every day. So that is why time and technical expertise is lacking with the legislature to see what executive or the administration is exactly doing. And they depend on the administration for all of these technical expertise. Okay? There is guillotine or gag orders. So you must be seeing that if something has not been discussed in the budget, in budget there are a lot of things. There are money given to railway, hundreds of departments, there are money is being allocated. Do you think everything is discussed in open? No, right? So what happens at the end of the day, where voting needs to happen, it is put to guillotine. Guillotine means everything is put to vote without discussion. For example, 10% of the budget is discussed, 90% is put on guillotine. That you vote yes or no, do you agree or not? No discussion happens. The ruling party passes it. This shows what? This shows a limitation that everything is not discussed in the parliament. Similarly, dominance of the executive. Party example, party whips. Party whips say, for example, majority party whip will say you'll have to vote on this. That means there is something called high command culture. For example, if the political big leaders say that you vote according to this, the whole party will vote according to this. Do you think any member of the party will stand against it? No, right? They'll follow whatever the party high command is saying. So this is also a problem. Okay? So executive, who are the ruling political, the cabinet ministers, those are also party high command, right? So if the cabinet ministers are saying these are the problems and we need to get away from this, and we need to pass this particular thing, so they usually pass it without question. This happens in real life. Hmm. Another problem is these financial committees, such as the CAG, they usually conduct a post-mortem report that when that spending has been done, after that they check whether the spending has been done right or not. So essentially, it's a after the things have been done, then they check whether they have been done in a right manner or not. So that also reduces the control. Then comes the second point. First was legislative control, first form of control. Second is executive control. Executive control over the administration. That means what? The political executive, they control the permanent executive. Executive control is an internal control, don't you think? Exercised by the high political and bureaucratic authorities over administrative machinery. For example, the cabinet secretariat. That means that's a high bureaucratic authority. So it controls the lower administrative setups. So what is the mechanism of this control? How is this control take place in an internal control in an executive? So hierarchy is there, top-down hierarchy. Max Weber's bureaucracy functions through hierarchy, ensuring obedience and discipline. Hierarchical control ensures legal rational accountability. Okay, the way Max Weber said. Similarly, there are rules and regulation. Internal rules and regulation are there. For example, All India Service rules that is there for all the officers that are there, All India Service officer. So internal rules and regulations are there. Similarly, there is something called personnel administration. That means promotions, transfers. These are the things on which that internal control is made. That if some person is very good in terms of disaster management, so the government can send that person to take care of a disaster. So that is personnel management. That is the control of the internal executive on of the executive on the administration. Appointments, promotion, transfer, disciplinary action. So these enforce or reinforce accountability. So see, Mission Karma Yogi introduces behavioral and ethical training, okay, for officials to enhance internal responsibility. Okay? Then there is vigilance mechanism. Central Vigilance Commission is there, so they check whether somebody, I mean, within the administration. So this is also an administrative institution. CBI, CVC, these are also administrative institutions. They check within the government whether things are going correct or not. Then there is Lokpal and Lokayukt. So you can go ahead and complain to the Lokpal that corruption is happening here. So they'll investigate. These are also administrative mechanisms that are there to control it. Then there is performance appraisal systems. So annual performance appraisal happens. So annually, your senior will sit and see whether you have done good work or not. They'll write a review where all you have faltered, where all you are doing well, what all you can improve. So that performance review is written. So this is also a form of control within the executive. Then there is e-governance and MIS. So basically, for example, a dashboard is there, digital dashboard is there, and the political executive or senior bureaucracy, they are seeing that in that dashboard how the work is being done, how the work is being done, and every day they are seeing or monitoring how the work is being done. Monitoring, we understood how monitoring happened. So if they are monitoring, don't you think this is also a form of control? That seeing that work is going fine or not. So this is also, e-governance is also a method in which executive takes care of it. Now, what is the limitation of this? The ministers or the senior bureaucracy, especially the ministers, cabinet ministers, they are very generalist in nature. They are not specialists. They are generalist in nature. What they do is they do something called, so what happens is they do not know in detail everything about that ministry. For example, the railway minister or the finance minister. Now the finance minister does not know everything about the Indian finances. One person cannot know something. So they rely on the bureaucracy. So bureaucracy does what is, at times, bureaucracy will see its own interest and they'll say the cabinet minister anything that is in their interest, in the bureaucracy's interest rather than in public interest. So this is a problem and this is a limitation of it, because ministers are not experts in their field and they depend on the bureaucracy to tell them what things are going on. And if the bureaucracy favors the administration, then the true picture is not shown. The actual amount of control is not there. Similarly, permanence and security of tenure. Now you can't fire a civil servant in a day or two or in a 1 month's notice. You can't do that. So there is security of tenure that is there. That is why the political executive cannot exercise a lot of control. Of course, you can transfer them around, but you can't throw them out of service. So this security is very much important, but there are limitations for this security. If somebody is not working, there will be some form of problem. Then frequent political instability, or cabinet reshuffling that happens. So different every few years, new ministers might come. Yes, so that reshuffling happens, and it leads to some form of problem. That new minister come and he does not know how work is being done. So everything that is being done by the secretary, who is a bureaucrat, and he favors the administration. So then external control or executive control is not exercised. Understood? Then there is judicial control. When I give this to you, I'll shorten these things. So see, you all know what rule of law is? Yes, rule of law. That means law is at the top, and then other functionaries are below it. So law is supremacy of legal spirit. Rule of law How is rule of law ensured? If some problem happens, if somebody is not acting lawfully, a public functionary is not acting lawfully, what is the remedy against it? So, if, for example, a public functionary is not working, yes, writ, mandamus, to command that public officer to do some work. So, don't you think that is a judicial control? Judicial control to ensure accountability of administration. So, these are the mechanisms that judiciary uses, to ensure administration is accountable. All of these accountability are for what? Public interest. Yes. So judiciary ensures rule of law of administrative action. So how these judicial control happens? First, judicial review. So if there is a particular rules that the administration has passed, or any action that the administration has taken, judicial review can be done of that particular action. Yes. Second, there is writ jurisdiction. You have said all the writs can be enforced against the administrative settlement. Okay? For example, habeas corpus. So if the police has locked somebody up for a very long time without giving any reason, so habeas corpus can be used to protect that right. So that is external forms of accountability. Judiciary is controlling the administration. Then there is something called public interest litigation, that through using PIL, the court can say or instruct the government to do its job. Yes. There are certain landmark cases, for example, M.K. Ranjit Singh versus Union of India, in which the court said that right to clean environment is a fundamental right of people, and the administration needs to work towards it. Similarly, Hussein Ara Khatun versus State of Bihar, right of a speedy trial. There were a lot of under trials that were locked up in prisons for a very long time. So, right to a speedy trial is for them. Then, Vineet Narayan versus Union of India. Basically, this was to give more autonomy to CBI and Central Vigilance Commission so that they can investigate against people who are also the part of ruling party. So things like these. Similarly, MC Mehta cases in PIL, they are there for environmental protection. Okay, you can write all of these things. This is a particular case law. Sorry. Plus, what is the other form? Tribunals are there. There is CAT, okay, NGT, income tax tribunals. So these are the tribunals that are there, and whatever they decide, it is appealable. Their orders are appealable in the High Court and Supreme Court. So judicial review of those administrative mechanisms. So these administrative tribunals are for administrative purposes. But whatever they decide are subject to judicial review by the High Court and Supreme Court. And this was held in L. Chandrakumar versus Union of India. Right? So you start writing these kind of judgments in your answer also in public administration. Now, what is the limitation of judicial process? First, it is slow, very complex, very expensive in nature. Second, judiciary is very reactive. Only when some thing has happened, something major has happened, then only judiciary will react. In an everyday basis, judiciary does not react or does not make any action. So, everyday basis, how do you ensure accountability? That's a challenge when it comes to judicial. Similarly, the judiciary lacks expertise to instruct the administration how to do their job, because they are not policymakers. Similarly, they have never been a part of administration. So the judges, they lack expertise of how administrative work is being done. Okay, how administration of the country is being. This leads to something called judicial overreach. Yes. So Professor Upendra Bakshi will say It leads to something called judicial populism. That judiciary to be famous or a judges to be famous, they take up these kind of cases and give judgments. Uh, how do you think have citizens or citizen administrative relations have changed since the last what 200 years? What is the change of citizen and administrative relations? Hmm. So how is the relation changing? Under police state, how was the relation? Then next what happened? For example, in the beginning, police state happened. Now, what is happening? How it has changed under good governance? Citizens' roles are what? Consider kings. Yes. So, see, citizens today are stakeholders and partners, not passive recipients of whatever government is giving. The citizen administration interface involves interaction for service delivery, grievance redressal, and participation. But India, we see a lot of problems such as red tapeism, corruption, mistrust between citizen and administration. Now, there are different ways in which citizens interact with the administrative agency in their day-to-day life. Okay. Now, Mohit Bhattacharya, he says there are 5 categories of such interaction. In 5 ways, people are interacting with each other. Citizens are interacting. First, they are interacting as clients. Yes, that they are the clients of. There is some form of client orientation. Yes. So, in this form, a citizen seek to obtain benefit or services from government agency. For example, a patient is visiting a government hospital, so they are acting as a client. The way they behave with private service providers. Second, they are a regulatee. So, government regulates. It is a regulator. Somebody who is getting regulated. It's called a regulatee. So, their actions are regulated by the government. Whatever they are doing, they are carrying out a business. So, government is a facilitator in the regulatory. As regulatory, public interacts with many government agencies like the police, income tax authority, licensing authorities, and so on. Basically, you start using the language that Mohit Bhattacharya or the points that he used. Okay? This will fetch you more marks. Then, litigant. Citizens are also litigants in court. They go against, for example, MC Mehta versus Union of India. What was MC Mehta? He was a litigant. Yes, he went against litigation against the government. So judgment comes. So citizen government and administration interaction also happens in court. Okay? So they act as litigants. As litigants, public moves the court against unjust action of public agency. So whatever public agency, if they are not working well, or there is police brutality on people, they go to court for. So this is they act as litigants. Then they act as participants. So in this form, people become direct participants in decision making. For example, you must have seen any kind of protest happens against a particular law. Okay? Any particular policy or law happens. That means a citizen committee is also formed. They'll also advise that how things needs to be done. So they become what? Participants in decision making, participants in administration. Cutting edge encounters in this form, people approach agencies which are responsible for day-to-day primary service. For example, electricity body, water authority in your local area. So you go to them and you see how things are being done, and you ask for services. So these are cutting edge delivery. That means with the citizens, direct interaction is happening. Then protesters. So citizens also act as protesters. Citizens also act as protesters against the government. If they do not agree with government's policies, they are protesters. Okay? Perception of citizen about the administration. Now, tell me something. In general, do you have a very good perception about the bureaucracy? No, right? Why is that so? What is the reason for this? Yes, the problems of bureaucracy, but what exactly in it? Delaying, corruption, greasing of the palm, things like this. You must have studied all of this in ethics. Ethics, you have studied all this. Ethics, you haven't done. You are taking online classes for GS. Okay, okay. How long will it take to complete? The society is remaining. I remember the society part. You aren't answering something that day. And yours, ethics has haven't started. Now only started. Now they have started classes on ethics. When is the ethics work? Is now happening? After that, GS will start. Maybe. Proper GS or depth. Hmm. Now, Mohit Bhattacharya is saying, start using his name anywhere you find any scholar's name. Start using their names. So Mohit Bhattacharya is saying that the perception of people is very negative when it comes to India and the administrative perception. How it is negative? Generally, people view bureaucracy by inordinate delay. Whenever if somebody asks you to go to a government office and get some job done, you first fold your hands that I don't want to go to that office. Simply, even a post office. If you go to post something, there is a long line for this. But in a private delivery service office, if you go to Blue Dart or no, not Blue Dart, or FedEx, things like FedEx or what, there you fatafat you get services. Basically, any government office you see, it works very slowly. For example, in universities also, you must have seen in your college, you go to the admin office, there is a long line. The moment you reach the admin office, lunch break happens. Then again, you wait for an hour and a half. They don't come at the moment the lunch break ends. They'll come half an hour after it. They'll see, they check, they'll find some kind of fault inside it that you haven't signed here. They need another photocopy of 2, 3 photocopies. These are very generic things. Okay, a lot of delays are happening. They'll check everything, each and everything. The way college administrative offices work. Now, this is the perception of government offices also. I believe all of you studied in government colleges. You studied in government college. Which college? IAG. You? Government college. Okay. So you know the pain. Then there is favoritism. So if the official likes somebody, their work will be done. That's why we would have some friend will be a friend with the admin office guy. Yes. So you get the number. You just say, "Ki sir, ye kara do." so the admin office guy will get the work done. So that is also the perception about the Rabe is saying SBI, of course. Yes, Rabe. SBI, these things happen. Then there is a need for middlemen. So in front of big government offices, you will see there will be people who will just ask कि काम कराना है. They'll just fatafat go and get the work done. You just have to pay some amount of money. There will be middlemen who will get this work done. So that means what? It's an example of greasing the palm. In ethics, you will study a phenomena called greasing the palm. Greasing the palm means what? If you put grease on the palm, things will slide easily. So things will be faster. That is greasing the palm. So you give some or something called courtesy money. That you have come to see a sarkari officer, so you pay some courtesy money. Yes, chai pani, things like that. So this is actually the perception of citizens towards bureaucracy. Similarly, unhelpful attitude. That college admin guy never would want to do your work. Okay, they'll find some reason or the other. Tomorrow the thing will be done. Just leave it. We'll see. Things like that. Okay, just leave it there. We'll see. So unhelpful attitude. Okay, officials, especially at lower level, are often uncooperative. Especially also in police. Also, if you go and go to write a FIR, that guy does not want to be bothered. He'll say, no, nothing has happened. No FIR. No, why is there a need of FIR? Things like these will take place. Similarly, procedural ignorance. Due process is not followed while doing the work. People are not, or the officials, they are not very much concerned whether they are following the procedure established. They are not much concerned about that. Rich poor discrimination. If a big person reaches a government office, everybody is sir. You whatever you need. Or you must have seen if there is a rich man in an area, if they have some work to be done by the police, they just call the inspector and the inspector comes in. Sir, whatever you need. But when a poor man or somebody from the marginalized community, they need the police will show strength to them. That okay, we don't need to listen to you, or we are not here to serve you, or something like that. That means there is a discrimination between the rich and poor. How government behaves to the rich and government behaves to the poor. So there is a quote, right? If you owe the bank 5 lakh rupees, that is your problem. Okay, but if you owe the bank 5 lakh crore rupees, that is bank's problem. Because so that is rich and poor, how things are treated. So to a rich man, a government, even a government bank or a public bank, to a rich industrialist, they'll give certain loans at the lower interest rate as compared to the market. But normal people will give it to the same.
2023 और फिर 2024 में फंक्शनरीज में डाला है और सैयद की मेल आईडी में होगा. 2023 में प्रिया को भेजा है, फिर सैयद की टीम बदल गई, फिर टीम बदल गई, तो फिर 24 में सैयद वगैरह को भेजा है, सैयद विवेक.
So that is also the perception. This is what
और विवेक की भी खोलना.
Similarly,
और अगर ना मिले तो मेरे पास हार्ड कॉपी है, मैं कल हार्ड कॉपी ले आऊंगा, लेकिन उसका
पीडीएफ बनवाना. There is a study conducted by Center for Media Studies (CMS) found that the majority of citizens are dissatisfied with public service delivery.
ठीक है.
High discretion services like the police and the judiciary.
मैंने विवेक को भेजा था, सैयद को भेजा था. उस टाइम पे एडमिन टीम की
police and judiciary, which is the fulcrum of criminal justice administration, their satisfaction is below 20%. They know that if
ठीक है, चलो बता देना.
I mean, there is a saying,
2024 नवंबर दिसंबर.
A lawyer or a policeman, just run away from there.
और अगर सैयद इस टाइम नहीं रहा होगा, जिसके पास होगी उसके पास.
Whenever you are in problem, then these people come.
विवेक था, विवेक के भी देख लेना. विवेक प्लानर सारे
You
विवेक
don't
के
need
पास
them.
गए थे
If you are
और
having a good
फंक्शनरीज
life,
ग्रुप में हो,
there is no
प्लूटस आईएएस
policeman or a lawyer
फंक्शनरीज
involved
ग्रुप.
in your life. Yes, it's true to that regard. If there is some court case going on, that court case will go on
हाँ,
for 2-3
फंक्शनरीज ग्रुप.
years. You'll have to pay
हाँ,
so much money to the lawyer. You'll have to go visit the court,
ठीक
etc. It's
बताए.
a harrowing experience. That's why people, even victims of heinous crimes, they choose not to go to court. Why? Because the process acts as a punishment. Okay, so here, especially the police and judiciary process acts as a punishment because the process it's so harrowing in nature. Even for basic services like the PDS, hospitals, and electricity, only 30 to 40% people are satisfied. So if basically Rabe is joking that Zomato guy entered SBI to deliver lunch. SBI told him to come after lunchtime. Rabe, you should. I mean, every hour you should come up with a joke like this. It keeps the mood light. Oh man, I should send this to someone.
काशी विश्वनाथ का हो गया दर्शन. पानी पानी चाहिए. आडर है और मैनेजर रहा गंदा पानी चल रहा है. हाँ? ये कर रहा हूँ बगल में ना रसगन माल आया है बिल ला देना है. एक बात बता हमारे लोग पानी.
So Robson observed that bureaucracy is still associated with excessive sense of self-importance. If you see a government clerk, that government clerk will act like he's a king. You have seen that, right? So self-importance, indifferent to citizens' feeling, whatever is if a citizen is coming to government office to get some work done, that person is coming in a work day, right? He's losing some salary. He has come on a half day or something. That means he's facing some kind of problem. So rather than being sensitive to the feeling, they'll make that person sit in line or wait in queue. Because they're very insensitive to citizens' feeling. Mania for rigid rules and procedures. Whatever they do, they'll do according to that this rule or this procedure they'll follow. Then barriers to citizen-centric administration. So second ARC in its 12th report. See, there is something in second ARC, especially in paper 2, what I'll do is I'll put in second ARC's recommendations, whatever relevant recommendations. But apart from that, in paper 2, apart from second ARC, your job for everybody is to see whatever, if Niti Aayog has come out with some report or something with that, what do you say, in that particular sector on that issue, whether some government ministry has come up with a white paper or something, or have they given certain recommendation or something. Do Google search, find out how things have gone, and then add it to your notes. Because second, the paper 2, there is nothing conceptual. There is a few conceptual things I'll explain in class, but when it comes, paper 2 is basically making the most comprehensive set of answers so that you can cover the whole syllabus. And question is being asked within your notes. Because outside your notes, if the question is being asked, you will still be able to deal with it. So your first job is to make those comprehensive notes for paper 2. Second, while reading paper 2, whatever theories are there in paper 1, whatever concepts in paper 1, in those notes only of paper 2, you just write in bracket or in short in the side that okay, this relevant idea applies here. For example, theory Y management applies here. Similarly, in paper 1, when you read after this process, that is why in the class, I first wanted to do paper 2. Because in paper 2, there is a lot of content. It will be very much easier to give those examples in class. That in paper 2 examples, if we fill paper 1 with paper 2 examples and fill paper 2 with paper 1 examples and linkages, it makes it very easier to score marks. Okay? A significant amount of mark boost is achieved through this. So, second ARC identified 5 major barriers to citizen-centric administration. First is the attitude of civil servants. Their attitude is very high-headed attitude. Okay? So the bureaucracy is often described as having a wooden, inflexible, self-perpetuating, inward-looking attitude. Whatever is beneficial for them, whatever is a good time for them, they'll come. Whatever is a good time for them to go, they'll go. That is why through Mission Karma Yogi and what the present government has done is all of those biometric attendance have been brought in. That you can't just sit from home today and work. No work from home. You'll have to come to office. Previously, you must have seen where whenever before technology, that any senior officer they'll do whatever they want to. They'll come to office at whatever time they want to do. They'll go whatever time. If they don't want to come to office today, they'll just call it. But they are not coming. If there is any work, I'll call and manage. These things are not. There is proper biometric systems. There is attendance of people. So things are more tighter. And your performance is somewhat seen. If your performance is not good, you are not performing. So the government has started pushing them out of the office. Yes, and that is why lateral entry is very much important. That if you want some specialist in a particular field, and your officials are not working well, you push them out. You bring in new industry players, professionals who can get the work done. Yes. Then there is something called lack of accountability. Whatever work they do, they are not accountable or nobody holds them accountable. Okay? So that is why lack of accountability is there. Then there is something called red tapeism. So red tapeism, red tapeism is what? You have seen those government files have that red tape on them to tie. So that means anything in the government, it is done through paperwork, photocopy, Xerox. Anything you go, you need 2 or 3 Xerox for that. You don't give one photo, you give 3, 4 photos. Signature in 5, 6 places. So everything is paperwork. So excessive rules, rigid procedure, unnecessary paperwork cause significant delays and hurdles for citizens. Okay? That is why there are a lot of hurdles. Ineffective implementation of laws. So laws which are very good in nature, they are not implemented very well. Ineffective implementation. Then there is low citizen awareness. So citizens do not know about their rights, whatever their entitlements are. That is why the what do you say? The administration is working any way they like. So this is what second ARC is. So when it comes to basically the importance of which committee which committee you should write first, or when it comes to importance of value addition in public administration, any paper, anything, any committee you want to write, India specific, the first importance is second ARC. That's it. In paper 2, if you go ahead and study actually the chapters of second ARC, even that will be enough. You will understand. So if you see Another thing that you guys need to do is, okay, I will discuss this when we do paper 2. So rather than reading the whole second ARC, you pick out the index of second ARC. You see what keywords they are using, what is the name of the words that they are using. You put those words in your notes. So in paper 2 of public administration, how is the checking happens? So they check. There will be a sheet that would be the model answer sheet. There will be a model answer. They'll compare your answer to that model answer. They'll see whether all of these points have been covered or not, and that is how mark is being graded. That model answer that is being prepared, where do you think that those points have come from? Second ARC. So directly you pick from where these people are picking. So what especially you can do, because you are giving it in 2027 actually, to take out chapters of second ARC, start giving them a read. Don't remember anything, start giving them a read. So after a few months, you can start doing that. Now, how does this citizen administrative interaction happens? For example, this interaction between citizens, what is the mechanism of interaction? How are people interacting with each other? Whatever Mohit Bhattacharya said, that citizens are protesters, litigators, etc., etc. But what is the mechanism of this? There are certain grievance redressal systems. Okay? There is CP Grams, Jan Sunwai, Samadhan Online. So these are places where citizen and administration interaction happens. Similarly, RTI is used. So RTI is filed against a particular office. That office is answerable. Similarly, there is citizen charter that is there. Citizen charter is a separate topic. RTI is a separate topic. We'll do today only. Public Service Guarantee Act. For example, there is a guarantee that will receive this particular public service. Okay. Similarly, there is e-governance. Umang app is there. DigiLocker is there. My Government app is there. So anything that you want to interact with the government, so these are the separate set of things that are there. Okay. So next major topic is role of media, interest groups, and civil society. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll continue. See, media, when it comes to accountability, what form of control will be media? Internal or external? External. No? Okay. So, media is often referred to as the fourth estate or the fourth pillar of democracy. Yes, it plays a pivotal role in ensuring transparency, responsiveness, and accountability in governance. So, what is the function of media when it comes to ensuring accountability? What form of control do they bring in? First is the policy making function. Policy making function of media. What is this policy making function? How is media making policy? Provide information about policy development, or show some issue to the government that this is the problem and why it is mostly does a job of agenda setting. Okay, that is how policy making is being done. So this is the policy making function. Next, what happens is, next it has a watchdog function. What is this watchdog function? Watchdog function means that any work that the government is doing, any work it is doing, any function it is carrying out, government or the media is seeing whether it is being carried out in the right way or not. For example, money is being provided under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan to build multiple toilets. Now, media goes ahead and shows that okay, all toilets have been built in this district. It has been declared ODF free, but nobody uses those toilets. There is no water that is there in the toilets. There is no sewage tank in that toilet. So media is a watchdog that you go and see any form. What does a watchdog do? In the house, if you have a dog, it keeps a watch. If everything, if no infiltration is happening, nobody is कोई चोरी नहीं कर रहा है. That means it sees that whether these public functionaries are working or not. For example, a road is being built, whether the contractor is using all the funds in building a road, or is it using the funds and the material to build his house. This is seen. Now, see, watchdog function ensures bureaucratic and political accountability by bringing in irregularities to public notice. For example, before scandal that happened. So before scandal happened, that before guns were being bought by giving extra money, media said, okay, this does not look fine. This is too much money for this. So this scam was brought to fore. This was during the Rajiv Gandhi government. Next function is informative function. It gives information to the government or the public who are participating that okay, this kind of work is being carried out. Informative function of it. Then there is something called participatory or empowering function, that it brings in people to participate or empower. For example, it informs people, exposes corruption. Yes, the watchdog function exposes corruption. Good, Rabe. Now it provides a platform for public debate, citizen feedback. So it says to the citizen, it informs the citizens that they have certain rights and they should ensure these rights are fulfilled. Okay, so it has a very participatory and empowering function. Then there are investigative function. See, there I have given the example of Jürgen Habermas's public sphere. that media creates a particular conducive condition where that sphere is called public sphere. Okay. Similarly, there is something called investigative function, that people are investigating. Example of this would be, a better example is Panama Papers. You all remember? Have I written Panama Papers here? So Panama Paper or what else was it called? There was one was Panama Papers, something else also. Basically, the money that is being kept outside India, taking away money from India and keeping there, lot of money, so that Indian agencies can't catch them. So Panama Papers had a lot of names. In this Panama paper, what it was, the international group of international journalists, that network, they went ahead and brought out this investigative piece. Similarly, another example of this would be investigative function. Something called a Guantanamo Bay was exposed by the media. So Guantanamo Bay is an example. Guantanamo Bay. In Guantanamo Bay, what was happening was, one of you write this example and give it to me at the end of the class. You are writing this, no? Guantanamo Bay, right? Under investigative function. Basically, under Guantanamo Bay, what was happening was, US was catching a lot of people from the West Asia, from Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria, when the Iraq war was going on, and 2004 war against terrorism was going on. They caught a lot of people. They were putting them to severe torture in this Guantanamo Bay prison system that the US had. So when media found this out, and this was a huge shock, especially at that time Barack Obama was the president. In 2010, this Guantanamo Bay came out, and it was severely criticized. Barack Obama's government was severely criticized that how did you let this happen? That means people, US didn't know whether those people have committed crimes or not, whether they have some information or not. They have been taken to this bay and were severely tortured for a very long time, 5-6 years. They were kept in torture. So this was Guantanamo Bay. Then another function is called agenda setting function. That they find out, this is similar to that policy making function under this, that okay, this is the particular problem. So for example, the government goes, the media goes ahead and shows that lot of dog bites are happening in the city. It is killing small children. So agenda setting. Now new agenda is set for a public policy against street dogs in Delhi. Other functions. See, agenda shapes public or political agenda. Okay. For example, media coverage of Nirbhaya case. Okay, this was very important to set the agenda to make more stricter laws against crime against women. Especially write this one. Now, Noam Chomsky, he says that there is something called manufacturing consent. Whatever you see on TV, it influences your decision making. It does. So that decision making, that you are making a decision, you can say, okay, this is an independent decision that you have made, but media is shaping a lot of that. So Noam Chomsky, he'll say that media has a role to manufacture this consent. That means manufacturing consent. Similarly, Amartya Sen also said a line about independent media. No famine has ever occurred in a functioning democracy with a free press. That means if the press is free, media will show the horrors of a famine, or if it is going to happen, or the problems of famine, and corrective action will be taken. That's what the importance of a free media that Amartya Sen is saying. So this is 19(1)(a) is freedom of speech, speech and expression, and it will give it gives the foundational freedom to the media to operate. Okay, and plus there are a lot of media institutions. There is Prasar Bharati, Press Council of India. These are also there. This is just there for your knowledge. Certain case studies you can write also. Bofors is there, 2G spectrum scam is there, COVID-19 coverage is there. Okay, they covered how the laborers are walking from Delhi to Eastern UP, Bihar. They are going for such long region. Okay, so it showed what the problems are. They showed the problems of how oxygen cylinders are less, etc., etc. But there are certain challenges of media. The media is facing certain forms of challenges. What are these certain form of challenges? One is commercialization and corporate control. The corporates are controlling the media. The corporates are saying, okay, these that we own the media, and these media houses will function accordingly. Okay. Then there is something called sensationalization or trial by media. You must have seen, especially in Sushant Singh Rajput's case, this was sensationalized. Every day it was played on media when the ongoing investigation is going on. Okay, they were saying, okay, this girl has committed murder. This was not actually a suicide. Even though investigation is going on, media is forming an opinion on themselves. Okay? Sensational reporting. Similarly, you might have seen while India-Pakistan conflict was going on, some TV channels were showing that India has taken over Lahore, Karachi, etc., etc. That kind of reporting. Yes. Today only, I was seeing in one of those YouTube news channels, actually news channels, YouTube version, YouTube channel, they're showing that Afghanistan has taken over Lahore. And these are mainstream media. Yes, it's showing Afghanistan, the Taliban, there was some skirmishes that happened, it has taken over Lahore. That is what the standard of Indian media has become. So, sensationalism is a huge problem. Anything they show it like that something huge has happened. Okay? In reality, nothing has happened. These national news anchors, so-called national famous news anchors, they go ahead and say anything they go ahead and say without thinking of the consequences. कौन? हाँ, मतलब those things. There are fake news, of course. Fake news, disinformation. This is what happened when India-Pakistan conflict was going on. Similarly, social media increases this. Rumors during COVID-19 that ये खा लो ठीक हो जाएगा, ये पी लो ठीक हो जाएगा, things like these. Then there are another challenge is lack of media ethics. There is no ethical function of media, or there is no ethical what do you say, ethical values that the media is following to carry out its function. Similarly, there is government pressure and censorship. Government is also pressurizing the media to show something and not to show something. So coverage of any government failure is being stopped. Okay? And government achievements are only shown. It should be the reverse, right? Whatever problems the government has, media has the job to show that to the citizens. It is the job of the media to criticize the government in wherever they are failing. But it is what's this called? It's opposite right now. The term Godi media is used because of this. Godi media means that the media follows whatever the government is saying. Government pressure and things like Pegasus spyware. Okay, Pegasus was on media persons also, that what they are talking, what they are reporting against the government or the ruling party. So this was spyware came out. Okay? There is other issues such as digital divide. Everybody does not have access to information and resources. That is also there. Now, information asymmetry is there. Yes? Information asymmetry is so issues such as the government, internal data of the government is not shown, not given to anyone. There is something called Official Secrets Act. That means it limits the media's access to government records. Then there is mutual distrust. People don't trust the media, and media does not trust the government. There is distrust. Politicization of bureaucracy. Anything that the bureaucracy does, that gets politicized. So that means it makes the bureaucracy more risk averse in nature. It says that the bureaucracy fears taking risks. Yes. Then there are some things. Things are ethical concerns are there. Ethical concerns we have discussed. Paid news, selective leaks. You must have seen there are news editors, famous news editors. They have been involved in these paid news or what do you call blackmailing, that we have this particular news, give us some money, will not run this in the news show. So blackmailing certain industrial houses, etc., etc. Now, what all reforms are needed? We need to strengthen the autonomy of the media. How to give autonomy? I mean, public broadcasters should have greater autonomy. Plus, we should let media access to some old files of the government. Okay? After 5 years, after the importance of secrecy is gone, you let them access the media, the files, so that they can scrutinize whether things have been done right or not. There should be editorial independence. Whatever you want to write as an editorial, you write. Promote ethical journalism. So media's ethical code of conduct should be there. These steps can be taken. There should be fact-checking mechanisms. There should be government fact-checker to see whether things are being done in the right way or not. Then strengthen legal and institutional framework. So empowering Press Council of India with punitive power. If they see that some media channel or some journalist is saying whatever they want to say, they can punish them. Penal power should be given to them. Then reviewing certain IT rules. So the government controls IT rules, media through IT rules. You review them so that there is no something called chilling effect on media. Chilling effect means what? Whatever media is doing, everything is seen and controlled by the government. That is chilling effect. Encourage transparency in media ownership. Who exactly is owning and controlling the media? It should be shown. It should be transparent. Plus, there should be some form of control. That one particular industrial house can't own 2 or 3 media houses. Else, they'll control the public debate, right? So that's why. So what is important is there should be public communication offices in ministries, PCOs in ministries, so that actually media personnel can go to a ministry's PCO and official communication can be done with them. Media can ask questions. You might have seen that, especially in the US, you might have seen in the news that Donald Trump is asked questions in a full room full of journalists. That shows what? That shows a accountability mechanism. That the president or the head of communications of the president, they are answerable for any act the government is doing. Yes, the administration is doing. Supporting public interest or grassroots media. For example, local language journalism should be done so that people are made aware of these local issues. Because what happens is local news, they only show some event. Okay, this murder, this story happened here, and they'll run it like anything. Local channels, they don't show what is the issue in the local area. They don't show that, okay, this particular community is facing a lot of unemployment. Here, the crop failures are happening. Here, there is no infrastructure to do this. So that means it will lead to more awareness among people of real issues rather than showing that what murder has happened. Of course, these are important, but you can't spend the whole day thinking who the murderer was. That is not the job of the media. Community radio, such as Namma Dhwani in Karnataka, this promotes local accountability. So if people are aware, okay, these things are to be done, they'll hold the administration accountable to do so. Integrate media into social accountability framework. For example, social audit, RTI, whatever is happening, you integrate media into this. Give media the power to go ahead and carry these things out. Second ARC will say something about proactive disclosure. Government data is there. The government should not wait for RTI activists to ask for that data. Government should proactively provide the data. Nobody has asked. Government shows that this is the amount of data that is there. Second ARC recommended this. There are certain value addition that I have also added, such as in US, there is something called Freedom of Information Act. Empowers media to access official records. So it is in similar lines like the RTI is there. Scandinavian nations, there is state-funded but independent media that ensures high transparency and corruption control. For example, you must have seen, you study something in your GS2. It's called charged budgets. Okay, for example, if judiciary requires whatever budget is provided to judiciary, it is charged in nature. That means the government can't control it, can't reduce it, etc., etc. These are charged expenditures. If media is also provided money like that way, state funded, don't you think it will save media from corporate onslaught, corporate ownership? If an industrial house wants to run a show or wants to promote their own interest using the national media, that means the country will be protected from those measures. So free press, transparency, prevent disasters of governance as effectively as any law. Okay, so free press. I mean, you let the press. See, Amartya Sen also gave that quote about famines. So you can write these quotes as value addition. Now, next form of accountability is citizen charter. Citizen charter is a document that outlines the commitment of public service organizations towards its users. For example, you go to a government office, they have a citizen charter. They'll show you what all you can expect from their office. You can expect delivery within, or your job is being done within 24 hours. Okay, if 24 hours job is not being done, you will be informed why it is not being done. Okay, all file clearance will be happen through single window. You don't have to go to 10 other window. That this department will say, go see this department in that floor. This department is sitting. Get a photocopy from that department. No, single window. Whatever is being done here, it is being done. Single window clearances. So these are citizen charter that you can expect timely delivery of services, quality delivery of services. It is written. So citizens can go ahead and demand this from your organization. This is the concept of citizen charter. Citizen charter outlined the commitment of public service organization towards its user, that this is what we are committing. It specifies service standards, timelines, grievance redressal mechanisms, expectations from citizens to make administration transparent, accountable, and citizen friendly. Okay, administration citizen friendly. Now, the issues or the problems with the citizen charter in India is, it is first very poorly drafted. The government writes anything or the department writes anything, it is pasted. Citizens don't know about it. Even government officials don't know about it. It's just written there just to tick a box. Okay, we have done this. There is no public awareness. Citizens are not aware that there is something written there. These are not legally enforceable. The citizens can't go ahead and say, okay, you didn't do my job within 24 hours, you will be punishable. There is no provision for that. There is a resistance to change within the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy does not want to change, does not want to be very agile in nature. This is in lines with something called a Sevottam model by the second ARC. Second ARC is saying Sevottam model means we provide services of the highest of quality. Sevottam model is a framework for excellence public service delivery, integrating citizens' charter with grievance redressal and capacity building. Okay. So, citizen charter, after despite being adopted since 1997, the key challenges are there is no legal enforceability. Top down, it is top down in nature. This government has written a sheet. There is no consultation that what actually citizens want. Similarly, poor design and vague content. Everything, nothing is made clear. It is vague. That will work well. You can expect good services from us. Very vague in nature. Many charters are poorly drafted using complex bureaucratic jargons instead of simple language. There is no time-bound service standards, etc., etc. Basically, these are just jargons, promises, like in the election, that is. Then there is lack of public awareness. Public does not know about this. Then there is resistance from bureaucracy. Bureaucracy basically is the expansion of whatever was written above. Now, in addition to this, see, these are examples you can use. Absence of independent review mechanism. There is no independent organization from outside that is actually looking into it and saying how things are to be done. There is no independent mechanism to do so. So, there is limited success. But if you give a legal backing to this, see, if you give a legal backing to this, this has happened in Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh, what has happened is, they passed something called Right to Public Services Act in 2010. Now, this has made public services very much effective. Madhya Pradesh's Lok Seva Guarantee Adhiniyam was there. So, hundreds of services that are there by the government, there are legally binding timelines. If that job is not done, the fine is imposed on the salary of the public servant. Yes. So, if an official fails to provide service on time, they are liable to pay a per day penalty of, for example, 100 rupees or 200 rupees per case from their own salary, which is given to the applicant as compensation. So that salary, that money is taken out from that public servant and given to the applicant as compensation. This shows that if I cause a delay, I pay you money for your delay. It makes them directly accountable. This has dramatically improved service delivery and reduced corruption. Previously, they wanted money to do your work. Now, if they don't do your work, they are paying money to you. So it changed the system on its head. Okay? Now, there are three core components within this Sevottam model that second ARC is saying. First is citizen charter. This is the promise that we promise that our organization will deliver these goods and services. Then there is grievance redressal mechanism. This is the remedy. Basically, you have some problems. You go to the government office. You have complaint against the government office. There is a grievance redressal that you say that this government office is not doing my job. This is the remedy. If you are giving some promises, there is some form of remedy under grievance redressal mechanism. It's a robust responsive system to handle public complaints. So public have complaint, this system handles it. Then there is the third component of Sarvottam model is service delivery capability, the machinery or the capacity building to deliver goods and services. Okay, so that is, these are three major components. Now, based on this, second ARC also recommended that we need to provide legal teeth to this citizen charter. So Public Service Guarantee Acts, the way Madhya Pradesh has done, we need this across the country. Similarly, mandatory consultation. Any drafting any citizen charter, there should be mandatory consultation with the citizens only. Okay? Then there should be widespread publicity. That okay, this charter has been made by our government, so there is widespread publicity of this. Then there are internal reforms. Internal reforms means within the bureaucracy, we are making ourselves more and more responsive to public services, public service delivery. Then there are independent audits, that you audit from outside whether they are following citizen charters or not. Okay. Next, RTI Act. You all have some idea about RTI, I believe. What is RTI? कुछ तो आइडिया होगा. राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन किसके पास है? बट प्राइमरीली किसके पास है? People ना, so people have the right to information from government offices. Evidence किस चीज का लेते हैं? नहीं, वो नहीं होता. वो पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेशन अलग होता है. आरटीआई में क्या होता है ना, अगर तुम देख रहे हो, देयर इज अ पब्लिक प्रोजेक्ट तुमने देखा, उस पब्लिक प्रोजेक्ट में कुछ भी काम हो रहा है, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर काम कर रहा है. अब तुम खुद देख रहे हो जाके कि कॉन्ट्रैक्टर सही काम कर रहा है या नहीं काम कर रहा है. कॉन्ट्रैक्टर सही काम कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है, जितने पैसे आ रहे हैं वो सही में लगा है पैसा, नहीं लगा है पैसा. तो तुम कैसे जाके, वो पब्लिक प्रोजेक्ट है, हाईवे का प्रोजेक्ट है या डैम बन रहा है, तो कैसे जाके जानोगे कि एक्चुअली ये ढंग से काम कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा है? सिटीजन कैसे जानेगा? तो तुम जाते हो आरटीआई यूज करके, आरटीआई एप्लीकेशन फाइल करते हो, तो बताता है कि भाई अच्छा यही खर्चा हुआ है, यहाँ पैसा लगा है. तुम जाके देख भी सकते हो कि अच्छा ये डॉक्यूमेंट है, गवर्नमेंट बताती है ये डॉक्यूमेंट है. तुम जाते हो, डॉक्यूमेंट देखते हो, डॉक्यूमेंट का स्कैन भी कर सकते हो, डॉक्यूमेंट का एविडेंस भी ले सकते हो कि अच्छा ये डॉक्यूमेंट है, इसका तुमने फोटोकॉपी ले लिया, सब कुछ ले लिया. तो ये सब भी होता है ताकि सिटीजन को पता चले कि अच्छा हमारे पास भी राइट टू इन्फॉर्मेशन है, बिना इन्फॉर्मेशन के हम जानेंगे कैसे काम अच्छा हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. हाँ, वो होता है राइट टू इन्फॉर्मेशन. आरटीआई एक्ट 2005. बेसिकली देयर इज a public information officer in every government office. That public information officer के पास तुम जाते हो, you go to the public information officer. That public information officer will, you ask them for information, they'll have to give that information within 30 days. If they are not giving, they'll have to give a written reason that why they did not give it. Yes. So there was something called Adarsh Housing Society scam in Mumbai that happened. It was unearthed through multiple RTI applications to see that whether what kind of scam is happening. For example, the scam, I guess money was allotted for some kind of refugees, and minister used that money to build their own homes or a housing society, and a lot of contractors also made it in their own name. So this happened when it comes to housing scam. Corruption, I mean, Then there is something called social audit. What is the social audit? Have you ever heard of it? What is social audit? Basically, people act as auditors of government project. So a government project is going on, and they we should add something called environmental impact assessment in this also. I'll add it. So in social audit, the government is doing some form of work. Okay? In that work, government is building some project, road, railway, highway. Now, if a society or the community that is living there, community wants to know, so they'll use RTI to do social audit. There is no government machinery that is working to audit it. Audit means what? To check whether work is being done right or not, to correct whatever money is being used, that is used actually for public purposes, or contractor is using it to build his own. So who checks that? If people are checking it directly using RTI, RTI is a tool. And what is the result? Social audit happens. So social audit is a process where people of a community, in collaboration with the government, directly scrutinize and verify the planning and implementation of developmental works. Okay? So it is accountability in action. And there are certain mechanisms that also take place. What are these mechanisms? It involves public hearing, such as Jan Sunwai. Official records are read out to people, to villagers. Jan Sunwai. So Jan Sunwai means people are there and Sunwai is happening. And villagers can testify whether the recorded work was actually done or if they received the wages they are entitled to. For example, Narega, MG Narega says that, okay, this much amount of work is being done and this much money wages is paid to people. So if a Jan Sunwai is conducted, okay, this much amount of work is done, has this been done or not? Have been paid this much amount or not? You ask people in a Jan Sunwai. People say no, that means the government officer is lying. Is not telling the correct thing. So this shows that Jan Sunwai has the power to democratize things. CBI? Yes. Right to information is against the government, not household. Now, this is a powerful tool for grassroots level accountability and governance. This social audit, social audit as a function. There are two case studies for this. The first case study is especially this Majdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan in Rajasthan. So they started this process of social audit to see whether the government is working well or not. Now, social audit has been made mandatory for MG Narega functions across the country. This social audit operationalizes a particular idea that Paul Appleby said. Government is people's business. ये होता है ना कि if government was saying that, okay, this is not your business, you mind your own business. We'll do our job. Appleby said, the government is people's business and people have everything to do with it. They can go ahead and audit, they can go ahead and instruct the public official to work accordingly. Yes? Participatory function. It involves beneficiaries, community organizations, local institutions. So these are very important. And it is promoting transparency in the process, how much expenditure is being done, etc., etc. Now, moving on. First, it is evidence-based. How it is promoting transparency? Evidence-based. That it meticulously compares that official records say this, physical record is working or not. Similarly, it empowers, it strengthens citizens' capacity to question the administration and demand their rights, that whether the administration is working correctly or not. It is corrective in nature. If a work is not going well, the Controller and Auditor General or the CAG will check that work after 1 year. But citizens can check while it is being done. It is a monitoring mechanism. Basically, this is the process in which social audit takes place. So preparation is made, documents are taken, or preparation is made to analyze these, and they verify. After analyzing the document, they verify whether the work is being done or not. Then Jan Sunwai happens. Jan Sunwai is the most important component, public hearing. And then follow-up action is taken to ensure that corrective action has been taken up. There are certain legal, so RTI is a method to take care of social audit. Similarly, 73rd and 74 constitutional amendment, they created Gram Sabha, okay, Gram Panchayats, who can go ahead and work with it. There is also Narega is there. See, you can use Habermas's idea here also. This social audit is this Jan Sunwai is creating a public sphere where people are expressing their concerns. Officials are saying what kind of problems that are there. Citizens are saying that what problems they face from officials, and this is being made clear. Robert Putnam, we studied this under post NPM developments. He talked about social capital. That government needs to build social capital. So this social audit creates social capital. That means promotes trust among people with the government, whatever the government is working on. MKSS I have already discussed. In Andhra Pradesh, there is something called Society for Social Audit, Accountability and Transparency, SSAT. Recognized by World Bank as a best practice. It is the first state to create an independent social audit unit. It's an independent unit for social audit. It can go to any place, check any government work. Okay, it has conducted thousands of audit under MG Narega, thousands of audit, and it has recovered lot of funds that were misappropriated. So SSAT model of Andhra Pradesh. Do you know about this? Significance of this. Accountability is promoted, ethical governance, right? Whatever comes to your mind. These are not nothing conceptual here. Now, similar are the issues and challenges when it comes to social audit. When it comes to RTI, the challenges, or citizen charter, similar are the challenges. Bureaucracy does not want to work. People do not know about it. Okay, weak institutions are there. For example, social audit are not mandatory outside MG Narega. Other schemes, it's not mandatory. Plus, a lot of states do not have those social audit units like Andhra Pradesh has. There is tokenism. For example, it is just read out in a Jan Sunwai without people actually understanding it. Those language is different altogether, whatever those people speak. Political interference is there. So politicians pressurize not to do something. So it is always there. Basically, what is to be done? Similar things. Institution needs to be strengthened. Legal empowerment should be there, that all schemes should have mandatory social audit, and capacity building of the administration needs to be done. How else can it be promoted? Integration with digital governance. Digital governance. For example, there is a digital dashboard that is there. Okay, people can text, look at these works are not being done, or they can directly call up, or there is a WhatsApp group with the administration saying this thing is not being done. So it is promoted through integration of digital governance makes it easier for social audit. For example, all government documents can be applied online. They can send it to you online, so that it reduces the time to arrange the document, read those documents, see whatever is being done. So protection for auditors should be there. So strict enforcement of this whistleblower act needs to be there, so that the secrecy of their identity is protected. Then there has to be collaboration with the civil society. Civil society collaboration is required, so that civil society brings in certain best practices to follow these up. About to end, just last parts, 3-4 pages are left. So every day we'll just finish one topic. So it'll take a bit longer in class, but we'll finish the syllabus very early in this way. Role of interest groups. What are these interest groups doing? In democratic governance, these interest groups are what? NGOs, civil societies, trade unions. So these are interest groups. These have huge interest in whatever things are being done. So let's see some examples of these interest groups. So you have seen some farmer union, trade union. You know something about FICCI, for example, Confederation of Indian Industries, right? Then there is what do you say? There are professional bodies are there. So the group or the professional body of doctors are there, lawyers are there. These things are there that pressurize the government to do some things. These are interest groups. So they influence policy making, etc. Civil society is more of a citizen group. They might have an interest, might not have an interest. A group of citizens is called a civil society. NGO is when that citizen group form a particular institution to work under. That is the basic difference. But here, let's see what these interest groups are. BKU, Bharatiya Kisan Union. This is a farmer interest group of farmers. FICCI is there. FICCI is Indian industrialist. There is also something called India Inc. India Inc. is there. These are interest groups. In civil society, we see India Against Corruption. That movement started under Anna Hazare and Arvind Kejriwal. These were the leaders there. So this is something of an example of interest groups. NGOs, you know, Pratham is an NGO in education sector. These are the now. How are these non-state actors complementing formal controls? How are they complementing formal control? First, they advocate and influence policy. For example, Narmada Bachao Andolan. This was done by who was the leader of that movement? Medha Patkar. Medha Patkar. Monitoring and oversight, that watchdog function. Then there is something called empowerment and capacity building. Under Seva is an organization of women. They especially help each other in best practices. For example, how to build up a business, how to make that business profitable. Okay? So Seva is like that. If somebody wants loan, some woman wants loan, that Seva group will give it to them. Yes. Then they act in social audit. Very easy. Everything else will be repetitive from here. See. Public mobilization and awareness. This is also there. Collaborative governance and service delivery. So they work as partners in development. Networking approach. Networking approach is done through this. Okay. Putnam is saying that social capital is to be formed. His quote, Alexis de Tocqueville, he will say, these civil society organizations are called schools of democracy. This is what leads to democratic deepening. Okay, and Jürgen Habermas will say, this is the public sphere that works. Now, what are the challenges that these people face? There is something called elite capture. That elites in a particular NGO, they capture their own agenda and they run their own agenda, influencing the other citizens that are there. So elite capture is there. Secondly, see, the funds that these NGOs get, most of the times these funds are from outside. So it is very much scrutinized by the government, saying that what are the purpose of these funds? Are they to serve the interest of some foreign country or not? Okay. These funds. So lack of transparency and accountability with the NGOs are there. There are some you might have seen in news, something called FCRA is there, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So this FCRA, under this FCRA, government can see which NGO is getting how much fund from outside. Okay. Similarly, political capture and partisanship. So politician can influence the NGO, civil society to do whatever they want. There is representation inequality. Who they are representing. So what kind of citizen group is being represented? That inequality is there. Then there is bureaucratic resistance also. The bureaucrats are not listening to these NGOs because these NGOs do not have any power over them. So if suddenly Right to Public Services Act, the way it was passed in Madhya Pradesh, if it is brought in, it will give them a lot of power. Legal and regulatory constraints are there. Okay? So, for example, using things such as UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UAPA, using it against journalists, using it against certain citizen groups, certain NGOs, it shows some kind of chilling effect. It's called shrinking civic space. That you shrink where free debate, free discussion can happen. It is taking place like that. Credibility and legitimacy crisis. Existence of something called briefcase NGOs. Briefcase NGOs. What are these briefcase NGOs? That they only are there to channel money. They are only on paper. They are there to channel money or to save taxes. So these briefcase NGOs are also there. Now, what all reforms are needed? Institutionalization of partnership is needed. So creating formal platforms for dialogue, collaboration, etc., such as social accountability cells in ministries. These social accountability cells, they'll do what? In the ministries, they'll be answerable to the NGOs, etc., etc. Whatever the citizen group is asking them question, they'll have to be answerable to this. Strengthening the transparency of NGOs, internal auditing is required so that these NGOs face some kind of benefits. Then there is something also called 3Fs is a problem. 3Fs. Funds. Second is functionaries and functions. In case of NGO, this function is cut out. Funds and functionaries. They lack funds and they lack functionaries. They don't have people who have the capacity building to deliver goods and services. That's why NGOs and interest groups suffer. Yes. So they lack funds and functionaries. These functions is used where? In local government. Local government criticism it is used. Collaborative governance is required to improve citizen delivery of services. Grassroots levels, these are all those repetitive points, whatever we read earlier. Okay. Now, certain best practices such as UK. First, let's take US. In the US, lobbying is something that is institutionalized. So you have to be a registered lobbyist group. For example, lobbying firms are paid a lot of money to influence the government. So lobby groups are very important. And they are registered. In India, they are not registered. How they functions, nobody knows. Okay. Then there is UK Charity Commission. They see whether these NGOs are working in a transparent manner or not. UK Charity Commission is there. In India, such things are required. Budgeting is done in Brazil by active involvement of citizen groups. Here, India budget is decided by the government, is given to the public functionaries, then they get a part of monitoring. But budgeting here is done by CSOs. In South Africa, civic society involved in monitoring service delivery post-apartheid. So post-apartheid, to protect the interest of the African Americans, the Africans there, they go ahead with this civil society, ensuring policy monitoring has been done. Okay. Next, this is it. So second ARC, so there are certain codes, right? Second ARC said the civil society organization must act as both collaborators and watchdogs in governance. Collaborators and watchdogs in governance. Unit is finished. Let me see if there is any word that is remaining. Concept of accountability control you understood? Legislative, executive and judicial control over administration is done. Citizen administration relation is done. A role of media, interest group, voluntary organization, civil society, citizen charter, right to information, social audit. Everything is done. ये पूरा unit हो गया. Every day we'll just finish the units like this. Anything else, Rabi? Okay. You start. How much have you people revised? I mean, I'm asking since when can we start writing answers in class? कितना revise कर लिया? You have done. Unit 1, Unit 2 done. Unit 3 also done. From tomorrow we'll give at least 15 minutes to answer it. ये आंसर लेंगे उसको डिस्कस करेंगे कैसे क्या होगा. How much have you revised? Theory revise कर रहे हो. Unit 1 start कर लो. Unit 2 में theory है. तो वो रिवाइज करना स्टार्ट कर दो. We'll discuss some answers in class. Basically, I'll dictate you a question. Just think of the answer, then we'll discuss how it is, what is the actual answer for this. Because it's very important exercise to do in class. For at least 15-20 minutes in class every day, we'll do this. By the end of next month, we'll have a set of 30-40 questions that we might have discussed. Especially answer writing is important in the first 3 units. The rest you can figure it on your own. The rest you can do it on your own. But start revising continuously. Unit 1, tomorrow we'll write some answers under Unit 1. Then under Unit 2, we'll also write. So that is there. You haven't written any answers yet. Public administration. What all have you written? Some test you have written. Which all topics? Theory. So do you have those answers? Bring someday. Tomorrow you bring, we'll see. Yeah? In class we'll see. In class we'll write some answers. Okay. Bye bye. Rabe, how much have you revised till now? Okay, Unit 2 you have revised. Unit 1 have you revised? Okay, both you have revised. Okay. So from tomorrow, we'll start discussing some questions and answers. Okay, Rabi.